warning, the following communications are not authorized. Please disable your signals and report to your local re-education center immediately. Failure to comply will result in immediate reprimand and capital punishment.
Whoa, I almost forgot the warning there, you guys, to keep us safe. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Eric, of course, reporting Opine. We're here with special guest Travis Canelos. I want to call him a venture capitalist, but I don't even know if that's true. He's a businessman. He's everything. He's everything you want him to be. Travis, tell the people about yourself.
Oh man, that was tough to follow. Venture capitalist. Wow.
Is it? That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, sure. I'm just a dude who runs a few businesses, likes working with people, building things up, and freedom.
Where are you from?
Gotta love freedom.
Just outside Toronto, Burlington.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Eric, everything doesn't exist outside of Toronto to Americans, I'd imagine. Name 3 other Canadian cities. Go.
Ontario.
That's a province.
What's the one on the West Coast?
Very good.
Dude, there's one all the way on the West Coast.
There are lots of places on the West Coast.
You put me on the spot, and
5 seconds.
I'm not a geopolitical expert, so I don't know.
Well, you'll be an expert in this. Vancouver is what you're thinking.
That's of course Vancouver, Niagara Falls. I don't know.
That is a city, yes.
Okay, all right.
So already, fake vaccine passports have already started popping up. California bar owner busted for making phony vaccination cards, says investigators. This is from ABC News. A bar owner in California was arrested this week for making fake IDs that had nothing to do with drinking, investigators said. Oh my God. California Department of Alcohol Beverage Control announced it was arresting owner of Old Corner Saloon in Clements, California for selling fraudulent vaccination cards. Travis, was this inevitable given what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, this has been going on in Israel, right, with the QR codes for a little while. So it's like a 2x3 piece of paper. I don't know what they expected was going to happen.
Eric, you're from California. Maybe Governor Caitlyn Jenner can correct this, but how do you feel about this?
It's insane, right? This wouldn't be so bad, them chasing down this guy, sicking the FBI on him, if California were in tip-top shape, right? If California were just a picture of, if there weren't tent cities and poop and syringes on the ground, then maybe they might, that might be a priority for them. But it's just so clear to me that, and a similar thing is happening in New York, not as far as the vaccine passports, which is probably happening there, but what they're doing is they're focusing so heavily on this one thing to divert eyes from all the real problems that they have. I mean, they're going to tell you every single day, Mayor London Breed of San Francisco, Governor Newsom, de Blasio, Cuomo, they're going to beat it into your head every single day, the statistics about the virus, while the rest of the city devolves into complete and total chaos. I mean, every day you see, maybe I'm drifting a little bit here from California, but every day in New York, you see a subway attack. You see a crazy person with a knife, but all they're going to talk about is get your vaccine and go to a baseball game, and they're going to completely ignore everything. And the same exact thing is happening in California. So it's disgusting. The priorities are a tad askew at their very best.
$20 a piece. A piece is one word, apparently. Nice. Authorities said at least 8 were sold before undercover agents who said they purchased IDs at the bar on multiple occasions. And so these were all probably bought by undercover agents. A laminating machine had 30 blank cards confiscated, and there's the laminating machine. Send this guy to jail, Travis, or what?
Well, I mean, ABC, they're looking at a Pulitzer for that report. They've got nothing better to do, apparently. 8? They
have lots of better things to do.
The 8 people that needed them probably really needed them.
Look,
probably.
They have so many better things to do. And that's really the issue I take with this. I mean, you could be tracking down radicals that have been burning down Berkeley for the past decade, but you're going after a bar owner who doesn't like your weirdo mandates, right? I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem here is that, like you said, their priorities are completely out of whack. Illegal immigration, taxes soaring, droughts, all this stuff, and it reminds me of this investigative reporter we have up here in Canada. He worked for a company called Global News. He's the guy who, when that cop was famously going hugging people and refused to shut down the restaurant or their gym. And there was a cop out there who was like, I'm not going to shut it down. I'm not going to ticket people. And he dared to shake people's hands and hug them. This is the reporter that was like, how dare you? We're in a pandemic, all that stuff. That same reporter was yesterday narking on a post office for having birthday parties. So, and 2 people at some point later on contracted COVID. So I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything. But if you see this guy, don't talk to him. Don't give him a story. Talk to him if you want. I don't care. He sucks. He's a crotchety old man. I want to transition you guys to something that just happened today. Rebel News is suing PayPal. I just want to get this out there because it's a very important story. I'm not suing them. Rebel News is suing them because they kicked Rebel News off of PayPal. We can just read from there. Basically, their letter that they sent. We'll read a bit of page 1 here for you. Let's see, the PayPal letter. You can no longer do business with PayPal. So this just comes out of the blue. Dear Ezra Levant, CEO, we have recently reviewed your PayPal account activity and determined that you're in violation of PayPal's acceptable use regarding our use of PayPal products. So just out of the blue, they send this letter and say that we violated the terms of service. But like most things, they don't say how or when or anything. They don't allow any remedy. They don't allow anyone to fix the problem. And then lawyers' letters get sent. Nothing. It's been, like it says here, it's been nearly a week. They haven't acknowledged anything. Phone messages, emails, legal letters. They don't call back, Eric. I mean, should this be expected? It reminds me of, and let's be careful what we say legally here, but it reminds me of when Patreon kicks off Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, and for a video that wasn't even his, I believe. Eric, am I remembering this correctly?
I don't really remember exactly why they got rid of him, but it was probably for nothing, right? I mean, that's what you guys are dealing with here. It doesn't make sense, man. At least you would think they would have like something, like even if it was, I don't know what we can and can't say on this, but even they would say like, well, this, product, something. They would come up with something, right? Like they could, like I was recently banned off YouTube, or not banned. I wasn't banned, but one of my videos, I mean, we're talking about a couple hundred subscribers, lucky to get, 50 views. They got rid of it for medical misinformation. So you would think they would at least come up with some sort of fly-by-night excuse. But the fact that they won't even do that is really quite scary. I mean, because it could happen to anybody. And it begs the question, and maybe you can't talk about this, but I mean, I assume there was probably some sort of transactions in motion. I know it takes a couple days for things to clear. I mean,
well,
they just cut
the thing
it off?
they just cut it off. And the thing is, its processes about $1 million a year of Rebel News' transactions. It says here we use PayPal to process about $1 million a year, which is half our staff payroll. And if we don't, like, think about, like, it pays half of our staff. Like, they just cut it off out of nowhere, and they're just like, and they don't respond, and they don't give a reason. But I did find the reason. If we want to circle back to how Patreon kicked off Sargon of Akkad, it was because of an interview he did on another channel. He used a racial slur, and I believe what the context was is that he was quoting somebody. So if Patreon can kick somebody off for something they said not even on their platform, they're just making a like an editorial call, aren't they? Now, Travis, have you faced anything like this? Have you come across anything in your business dealings where people are playing politics when it seems like you're just like, why don't you only care about the money, but they're taking ideology over it?
You know what? Actually, I'm in a unique industry right now in indoor farming where we haven't. It's taken people a pandemic and a shutdown to realize that flying in basil from Chile and Israel and trucking romaine from California to Toronto is not a good idea. So that's kind of incredible from a human standpoint itself. But the ideology, no, we haven't run into anything yet. But I mean, I do in personal daily, travels, but not in business so much. Not yet. Anyways, I'm sure, it will come. Absolutely.
And just a quick example, Eric. I talk to people because I'm in the news, you guys. Talk to some athletes, and some of them are more apprehensive than others. But an athlete, I won't even say what sport because I don't want to out him. But a professional athlete is worried that if he appears on my show, then he's never going to get signed or he's never going to get a contract from another team again. So even something, let's say on the other side of the world, which it is, and he's a hockey player, which I just outed him for.
Don't worry, I don't know anything about hockey either.
It's fine. There's hundreds of thousands of hockey players out there. Then he's worried, and it's so sad. I feel so bad for the guy that they even have to worry about this stuff, because if that was me, I'm not as nice as everybody else. If that was me and somebody's just like, well, you did this and you did that, you spoke to somebody, I'd just be like, yeah, and whatever. I don't care. That's why I think the non-apologetic route, Eric, is the way to go. They say never apologize. Do you subscribe to that?
I 100% subscribe to that, and that's what I was basically going to say is that, and no shade to this guy, you know what I mean? I don't know him from a ham sandwich, but that's how this will continue. Is if people, I mean, that's their goal, is right. It's to scare people into submission, right? I mean, I gave up on caring about it a long time ago, even when I was working in New York City, and people were like, well, you can't, you're gonna, they were saying like, oh, you should do YouTube videos, but don't put your face on there. And I was like, dude, this will never end if somebody doesn't say anything. And look, every time people stand up against it, not every time, that's not true. But a lot of times when people stand up against it, they do gain some ground. I mean, most notably is Donald Trump, right? I mean, he was the one guy. I mean, even, the rest of the spineless right-wingers here in America, they still capitulate in a losing battle. And we saw it even in that pseudo State of the Union or whatever, when they're all standing, sitting there, all social distance, all pouty face with their arms crossed, but they're all wearing masks, right? So that's still a loss. And unfortunately, and look, I get it. I don't know how these political ideologies have suddenly overtaken, the almighty dollar, right? I mean, PayPal is in the business of, payment transactions. Whoever this athlete is sounds like he's probably doing pretty good and doesn't really need to worry. I mean, are we at a point where there's another professional hockey team that is going to literally look at some? You know what? Who's going to see him on your show and say, we're not going to deal with that? Because look at the opposite side of the coin. A guy like Colin Kaepernick, who's complete poison in the locker room, couldn't get a job. So either way,
I guess it makes sense. I guess Colin Kaepernick sucks is why he couldn't get signed. Even players from the Buffalo Bills said so, and the Bills suck. So they wouldn't sign him either. But I guess I see the other side of it, where if he's going to cause a problem for your team, if he's not good enough, then what's the point of having the headache? And I guess that if you're a mid-level player or you're not a superstar, then that stuff really could affect you. The only sports I see it not happening is soccer, for the most part, because Ronaldo's had sexual assault allegations, which I don't believe personally. Leo Messi's got tax fraud allegations, and obviously they're the biggest names, but players in England get caught smoking on Page 6 or whatever the tabloid is when they're underage. It's all sorts of stuff, but if you're good enough, it can go by, but it doesn't seem to matter in the UFC. You can't cancel a guy who's punching somebody in the face for a living. So I want to move on to
well, shouldn't we just before we do that, really
go ahead.
Quick, shouldn't we just like the Olympics recently came out and say, let's not do politics at this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it should be, man. I mean, right? I think we all know that you can turn off the politics and watch sports for an escape, but now it's all been so muddied that it's absolutely annoying.
Whenever I watch soccer highlights and they even begin the highlights with, as the guys are getting up from kneeling, and of course racism is bad in all its forms.
Yeah, it's very annoying, man. But anyways, all right, next one, I suppose.
Kamala Harris was criticized for providing books at the border to illegal immigrant children of her own book using taxpayer money. That was reported by the New York Post, who we all love for their Hunter Biden coverage. But unfortunately, the mainstream media is not impervious to bullshit, it seems, because the New York Post, either they completely lied and made it up, or the person who wrote it had a terrible insider giving them information, because that turned out not to be true. And so Kamala Harris isn't at the southern border, but at least one migrant kid got the VP's book. That's the original article where they're showing, that's a changed title, obviously, where they're showing the book here, and it's her children's book. And they said they haven't been to the border to address it. She used they used taxpayer money to give all the kids at the border. But it turns out, in a correction that we have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to see, you guys, the original version of this article said migrant kids were getting Harris's book and a welcome kit, but it has been updated to note that only one known copy of the book was given to a child. So they're claiming that it was actually part of a donation and only one kid got it. Whether these outlets are covering for Harris and it was like, hey, let's pay to have all these books dumped on as a donation, and we'll backtrack that way, I don't know. I would hope not, but shame on the New York Post for printing this without verifying it. And let's hear from Jim Acosta on the topic before we get to your guys' reaction.
Take, for example, the uproar over this New York Post story that claimed that copies of a children's book written by Vice President Kamala Harris were being given to migrant kids in their welcome kits. That tale from the border didn't just border on BS. This was USDA grade A bullshit. And the reporter who wrote the story resigned, claiming she was forced to make it up. But the damage was done, pumped out over the airwaves at the bullshit factory, also known as Fox News.
He thinks he's so cool when he throws that, when he's like, bullshit, this guy's Fox News. First of all, I don't believe that the person was forced to do it either. What, did they pay you $1 million to write a story about Kamala Harris? Maybe they did. Travis, does this just prove that we need to be careful on both sides? Are there any outlets that that you're holding high right now that you watch and you go to every day and you're just like, I can trust these guys, or we should just be cautious about literally everything?
No, I think at this point we've got to be cautious. I mean, Jim is just an all-around thoroughbred reporter. So I think we can stop that there. But you've got to take everything with a grain of salt, I think, right now. I mean, it is so polarizing to the left and right. You don't even know what you're watching is real or not anymore. And this goes back 4.5 years ago, right? To date. And you've got, articles. I read a report in the Post a couple weeks ago, same thing, editorial piece at the very bottom, boom, move on. And I think that's scary. I think that's the scary piece of where we are today. And when you're getting your news from social media and you can't get it from the CNNs and Fox of the world, I don't think that's a good spot to be in.
Eric, do you take it as a Joe Rogan style where you go, he says, I look at an article and then I go to the exact opposite point of view and see what they're saying about the same thing? Do you think that's a good idea of what to do?
Well, we got a complete mess on our hands, right? Just the fact that you have to be so cautious. I mean, call me crazy. I hold such disdain for Kamala Harris and that corrupt regime that I wouldn't, because I think at the beginning of this you said that there's two options, either they lied or whatever. I think there could be a third option. Are we going to put it past these people to pressure somebody to retract a story? I wouldn't do that in the least bit. I mean, I don't think it's past the realm of possibility for somebody in the administration to go back to that New York Times reporter and say, well, just say at least one known case. Okay, so you could prove one. That doesn't mean the whole room wasn't filled with these things. That doesn't mean the whole tent city isn't filled with these things. And unfortunately, the fact that everybody is so untrustworthy, you can't trust the original reporting just as much as you can't trust the retraction. I mean, this is, unfortunately, this is beyond repair, bro. Like, what could possibly happen to any of these organizations? I mean, Fox is just barely right wing, right? I mean, they're basically on board with Caitlyn Jenner. That's a completely different story, but
we'll get to he, her, him.
what would have to happen? These places all need to be imploded from the ground up and rebuilt with all new management. Because I'm asking this not ironically or not rhetorically. What would happen that would make us believe any of these publications are telling you the truth from the get-go? I don't think it's even possible at this point, because the left is never going to believe basically anything reported on the Post. And I'm, the hard right-wing individual that I am never going to trust anything that CNN says. I mean, yeah, every now and then they might report on the weather, right? And we can maybe trust them on that. But
no, you can't, because when they have the hurricanes in South Florida, they're just like, everyone's going to die. Wall-to-wall coverage, you guys. Trump said this thing. He used a marker, even though he turned out to be right, you guys. So
I do remember that. So what would have to happen to make us believe any of these organizations? I don't think there's a way.
No, I think at this point.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, Andrew. No, I agree with you. I think at this point it is scary to turn the TV. I rarely turn on the TV anymore. And at this point in time, you turn that thing on and you're all the way on one side of the fence or the other, and that is a horrible place to be.
And I will say, I think it's easier for me to understand both sides, because I mean, I grew up in San Francisco where the word Republican was, you couldn't even say that. But after living under the thumb of these tyrannical Democrat politicians, I could see both sides of the coin. And unfortunately, or for better or for worse, reality does lie, at least today in 2021, a little bit more on the right. And that's why we see so much censorship, right? I mean, they're trying to stop the actual truth from coming out, from everything from Hunter Biden's laptop to election irregularities to, vaccine, to, everything. They're trying to squelch. And that's, might even tie into your guys' problem that you're having over there with PayPal. It's like, if there's too much truth leaking out, they got to put a stop to it.
Well, the way I see it, in terms of your question, that was, how do we trust anyone who's involved in the mainstream news? I mean, I think there was a time, albeit because people weren't watching as closely and people weren't, let's say, awake or something. There was a time where CNN was the most trusted name in news, even if they were faking scenes in 1992 of like the Gulf War and stuff. But it comes from, we're like 5 or 6 years deep of CNN getting caught lying all the time. Just watch a Project Veritas video. Just watch that time where they staged a little protest where they're gathering people in. What else is there? The saying that Trump is just for ratings, saying that Russia is just for ratings. Like it's all these little things. So there's I don't believe MSNBC, but I think that I know that they believe what they're saying. So I don't think they're going out of their way to lie. Rachel Maddow didn't have the piece of paper in front of her and lie about Trump's, this is sticky notes, but and say, this is actually what's on Trump's tax returns. She just thought it was a huge deal when it wasn't. So I don't think all of them particularly lie. They're just so biased they don't see how wrong they can be. Having said that, MSNBC is the same ones who said, let's spike the Epstein story. So is that a lie? No, that's or is that lying by omission? So you got to take it where you can get it, I guess.
I think you're giving them a little bit too much credit, man. Maybe I'm just a little more cynical. I think they know. I think they do know a lot of this stuff is divisive and it is meant to, of course, get clicks, but to keep people fighting with each other because that's good business for them. I think they're actually a little bit smarter. I mean, of course, we all can run around calling them stupid, but I think that they know what they're doing. I mean, these are people who have made, professionals out of themselves, and I think they do know what they're doing. And again, I think that we've come so far. I think we spoke a couple weeks ago about how some people were calling you guys controlled opposition and all this. That's how far we've come, is that they don't like. I'm not going to sit here and say I trust every single Rebel News article that comes out. I like to do my own due diligence, but you got to get to a point where you're not constantly living in this paranoid state, and it happens on the right and the left, big time. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, and I think I always wonder too. The only way back a severe market crash? Does that bring everyone back to square one, to fundamentals, to understanding what it means to have small businesses and communities? that's the question that I always have, right? You got left and right, and they're going to keep fighting because it is, you said it, man. It's about clicks. It's about news. At the same time, if this thing goes the direction it is, and there is a hard turn backwards from a market standpoint, that could be a bit of a reset that is needed. It's not good, and I don't want that, but that could be what's needed to say, okay, everyone needs to take a step back. We need to get this thing back on track. How are we going to do that as a nation or a country or whatever it is? How else do we turn this around? Like, the gap is widening.
Yeah, it's scary stuff, and I think just the last little bit on this is, like, I think a lot of people didn't even realize that. I mean, you got watch guys like Tim Pool or the Quartering or something like that, and they'll talk about, like people called me crazy when I said that Civil War was around the corner, and I'm sitting here like, dude, I'm pretty sure we're already in it, right? I mean, not only from an informational standpoint and all the censorship.
The info war.
Yeah, of course. I've triggered AJ, but
You have
the
sorry
that aspect of it on top of the actual violence that we're seeing. I mean, I lived through it. I mean, I watched the whole lower half of Manhattan get boarded up. Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, they're all boarded up because of these protesters, and that was pre-inauguration. That was pre-even election day. And so we know that it wasn't even really about politics. This is about one of my Instagram friends sent me just a day or two ago this super creepy sign right outside New York City on the way to Long Island that says, it's like this graffiti that says, no Pelosi, no Biden, we want everything. And it had like a painting of a big machine gun. And it's like, dude, these people on top of the media, because the media is still going to side with the left, even though the real left, the hard left, doesn't like them either. So, we have got a mess on our hands, and I don't know how we're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to say to you, Eric, that I've changed a bit through the lockdowns, and I just feel like if people are pushing, it's obviously got to be dumb or evil, but if politicians and regular people are really believing that these what's the word I'm looking for? These laws, these municipal bylaws, all this sort of stuff. If they're really believing that these are the right thing to do, then I do have to question their intelligence, because it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by what even people thought at the very beginning. So when we're 14 months in and people are still unwilling to look at statistics, and even if they're a small town, let's say member of parliament, or in your case, maybe there's a city councilor, or I don't know what's lower than a mayor in city council.
Like city council, something like that.
I have to hope that they haven't been in politics long enough to turn evil, and I have to start questioning their intelligence, because I mean, you could get pretty far in politics by just being a yes man and going with corporate interests, I feel like. But the example I'm going to bring up about myself here is in favor of your argument, where it's hard to say that this person doesn't know what they're saying. And I'm talking about a city councilor in Toronto. He goes by the name of, let's see, Paul Ainsley. So yesterday, Paul Ainsley was talking about the Canadian money, like our paper money, which isn't actually paper, but bear with me here. The motion is to subject a referral to the committee that 2/3 vote is required, naive referral. So basically, they're saying that there's too many white male politicians depicted on our currency. So I decided to, and it's hard for me to be this polite on the internet. I said, I would like to invite whatever his name was, Paul Ainsley, on my show to discuss the merits of this motion. A little sarcastic, I'm sure, you guys, but like, I don't always want to talk to people who just agree with me. So he responds with, and I can't see it now because he blocked me. He responds with, sorry, my maybe I should just bring this up on a new browser. He says, sorry, my schedule is full. I can't right now. And then he goes on
and
to
then
say,
he blocked you. So he replied,
not
and
yet.
Blocked you. Okay.
Not yet. And I say, what networks or what stations can citizens see this motion debated? Can they see this argument? I believe I used the term, where can they see? There we go. On which programs will citizens be able to see you discuss this? And then you can see I can no longer see him. And he says, I didn't realize this was a debate. I don't have time for this, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, that's fine. It's not a debate because I know you can't defend this. And he said, I don't. Then he responds with, I don't have to debate. City council just passed it. Have a good day. So I laugh at the fact that he says, oh, I'll find it because I'm so clever that I don't want to waste my own breath on my own cleverness. I said, debating's for peasants. The council has spoken, quote unquote. What an embarrassing position for a politician to take. There's no debate because you fear being exposed. Because here's what he said. I didn't know we were debating. I have no need to debate. I put a motion forward at city council and it passed unanimously. Enjoy your day. And then I said stunning and brave because he blocked me. I told him it wasn't an argument. It sounds like you're trying to say I can't defend this position. So he literally says that why should I have to defend my position when I have city council agreeing with me? And this is the state of politicians, I think everywhere, but especially in Canada. I don't have to debate this. I don't need the citizenry input on this. I don't need their approval. I've put this forth to my elitist friends, and they agree with it. And this isn't going to do anything. The city of Toronto, Travis, they can't change what's on our currency by themselves. This is literally just a motion that they can say, hey, look, I voted for this motion that says there's too many white men on our dollars, even though it's not all white men. That's been changed in recent years. We also have this lady called the Queen on our on our money, so it's not really a whole thing about white men. And then we've got hockey players on it. We've got polar bears on shit. So Travis, what do you think this says about? And I know this is about me, you guys, so I'll stop talking about me so much. But what do you think this says about politicians? Where he's just like, I don't think I have to debate this. Is that as crazy as I think it is?
Yeah, it's probably as crazy as you think it is. Poor Paul. Like, you know what? I almost feel badly for the guy. Like, you know, Paul is probably sitting somewhere and he's thinking about how he can generate some more leads and friends that he probably never really had. And he's come up with solutions like this as a white male, mind you, to talk about how there are no white males on the bills. Well, you know, the Queen's not going anywhere, Paul. I don't know if you knew that, but she's going to stay on there for a little while. And we also kind of employ you, whether you like it or not. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think that, again, the sad reality is here is Paul is looking for clicks. Like, first of all, why do you tweet something like that out? What would cross your mind to say, wow, this is a great idea. Like, I'm going to really knock it out of the park with this one. Let's talk about how, you know, I'm oppressed. It's like, Paul, you're a city councilor, like, no disrespect, but yeah, like, you know,
somebody sent me pictures, and I won't say who it is. There we go. We can't see it there. Okay, no, we can't. These are some of his tweets. He literally just tweets press releases for a large corporation. Google Pay helps Safeway target shoppers. Find deals. Here's a link. Frito-Lay's mashups includes Dorito-flavored Lay's chips, you guys. This is the city councilor. And this isn't long ago. This is recently. We're always pivoting. You can't ever get bored on social media, says Vice President of Marketing at MTV. Like, what's God. like
Whoa, Eric? That's crazy. That puts a whole new spin on this. Because I'm just curious. Obviously, what he's doing, his initial thing was just a virtue signal, right? That's like wearing a mask in your car, or it was just like, look at me, like I'm, you know. But like a serious question. You've already outed me as knowing absolutely nothing about Canada. But who does he want to put on there? I mean, you know, here in the States, you could have somebody who says, okay, I want to put Martin Luther King or Susan B. Anthony or whatever it is. Or I guess she already has a coin. But I mean, not to no disrespect, but I don't know. Like, I'm thinking like you want to put Drake on the thing. Like, what's
I'd be down for that.
I mean, I am wearing my OVO shirt today, but understand who he wants.
Here's for you Americans. We've got a loon. We've got 2 polar bears. We've got a caribou, I believe. Yes, it is. We've got the Queen. Ship sleeves. More Queen. This one's still around with the Queen there. So already we haven't seen any white men. How dare we have Wilfrid Laurier, the first person to lead Canada, first French Canadian. Who else have we got? John A. Macdonald, the first prime minister, you guys. That's just outrageous. We can't have the first person to lead our country.
Scandalous.
Look, the Queen again. William Lyon Mackenzie King. another prime minister. So these are literally our leaders. Then we've got Robert Borden, Sir Robert Borden. I should correct you guys. Look, there's a woman on the back of it. How
A
dare we again?
scientist, and she looks like she's doing some science.
I think that's a woman, anyways.
Yeah, I think the difference, Andrew,
no, it's a guy. Frederick Banting is his name. Sorry. Wasn't a guy.
Insulin. So up here, Andrew, you can chime in on this, but we have politicians that are gutless. And what I mean by that is we have folks that don't want to talk about truths. And I know this does happen in the US, but at least you've got some folks on one side of the spectrum that at least put their foot down. Here, it's just about clicks and this sums it up in a nutshell. I'm at I won't name the place. I'm at a place today, and I'm
Good
maskless.
Life Fitness. No.
Sure, I'm maskless, and this woman says, "I will not serve you your product until you put a mask on." And I said, "Well, you've got a mask on. Does it not work?" And her response was, "No, you need to put this on. We need to keep our distance." She walks over to me and hands me the mask. This is just like, this whole thing is just brilliant. Hands me the mask and then tells me I need to step back. And I said, you like this, but that is where we are at. But that's the politician side as well with this. It's the same ideology and mindset about how they need others to feel with them instead of just doing their thing. And it's so mind-blowing that 14 months later, we're still talking about the same stuff.
And actually
It's
going
most
backwards,
likely-
it seems like.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, sometimes it seems like while we're kind of moving out, what is this guy, remember, and then he came out, was it Doug Ford? He did this crazy lockdown and then came out and apologized or whatever. It's like, and that's why
Still
I
didn't
think,
stop it, though.
didn't stop it, but that's why I think this is not, I don't think it's stupidity. Nobody who made it out of high school basically can't see that this doesn't add up, but they keep going with it. And that's what makes me think it's like, maybe evil's not the word for it, but it's just like very maniacal, very controlling. It's all about control. Like, you have to wear I had, when I was driving I have a similar story. I was driving to California and I walk into this little store and I'm thirsty. It's hot. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get 2 for $3 Gatorades. And I walk around the store for a couple minutes and put the drinks on the counter. And she's like, "I can't sell you that." And she literally talked to me. It got to a point where I was just kind of messing with her because I'm like, how long is she going to talk to me before, so she was just like, "I can't sell those to you without a mask." I'm like, "You literally been talking to me for like the last 3 to 4 minutes. You're not, yours is dangling below your nose, but you want me to go outside, put a mask on, and then come back just to get a couple of Gatorades." Now, hindsight being 2020, I would have just opened them up and she would have been
So weird how it's socially acceptable to have it it's okay to have it below your nose and pull it up all the time. It's okay to touch and adjust it all the time. It's okay to not have it under the chin all the time as long as it's sort of on there. It's okay to have something that we all know. You can't tell me that you don't know that a piece of paper doesn't stop viruses that are extremely small. It's never been proven, and we can get kicked off YouTube for this if we want, but there's no study that says it works effectively. Even the Ontario nurses once said that they refuse to wear masks because it doesn't do anything to stop flu. This is 10 years ago. They were asking them all to get the flu shots, and a bunch of them said no, so they said you have to wear a mask, and their union took the hospitals to court there, and they said that it doesn't do anything. So the nurses won this thing because they said it was othering them to force them to wear masks, and if they didn't, they were all just like, we know that you're the ones who didn't wear masks. So fast forward to last year, they wanted to do a study, an experiment, if you will, with nurses where they have a bunch of them not wear masks and see if they transmit the virus more. What does the same nurses union do? They say, no, we refuse. It's too dangerous. So they literally pick and choose ideologically which ones they want to support. And listen, I know there's tons of nurses out there that say that they're nothing's going on in their hospitals and this is all overblown. They need to stand up and say something. It's too late. You've waited too long. Same with teachers. You've waited too long. And it looks like we've got a nice super chat there. Did that make a sound? No, that's just a car in the background. We have a lot of those evil guys up here in Canada. Cheers to all three of you. Hope you're well. Why, thank you,
Awesome.
Julie Mora. And unfortunately for you, Eric, that's like 30 cents in American dollars. It's time to take a commercial break. Travis Canellis, you can follow him on Instagram at Travis Canellis, where he posts spicy memes and shirtless videos, apparently. Why Trudeau is a great leader. Oh, I thought Wesley Snipes. Why is Wesley Snipes tagged in that as somebody who's not the? See, I had the idea for this. I was going to call it. Reasons to turn the country blue, turn the country orange, and it's NDP. But Michael Knowles is the original person who did that, which was reasons to vote Democrat, and it was completely empty. So whoever did that stole my thought, but also took that idea from Michael Knowles. Eric's book is available on Amazon for $49 or Kindle for what's this number upside down, Eric? Never mind. $49, and you get all the hilarious things. This cover makes me laugh every time. And then it talks about all the crazy crap you saw in New York City, downtown. We got, double mask visor guy, gas mask guy, possible alive person in a tarp on the street. Garbage bags could also be people. And, just all the good stuff. I can't wait to get mine in full color other than seeing it on the screen. Ships in 1 to 2 days. Darn, that Amazon's fast, you guys. And last but not least, if you want to go to Help Rebel News and help us sue PayPal, please go there. You can donate through a charity to get a tax receipt, or you can donate directly to us. Looks like things are going up well right now. And you can also watch my show, Andrew Says, because the one that just went up is John Doyle, and he's got some spicy opinions. The right exists as a money vacuum to sell hope. Alternate title was Andrew Says owns John Doyle. We'll see if we can change that for. I think people would click on that if I said that I owned him. We got along swimmingly.
I would click on that. I'd subscribe for that.
Okay, so the last topic we should get to here, guys, because Travis is busier than both of us, I think. You got kids, right, Travis?
Yeah, I got 3 kids. Yeah, but we have shipped them off for 2 days to my mother's house.
Nice.
What is the address there? No,
well,
Travis, have I told you before that my brother has 9 kids? Think about that.
1 less than 10.
Yes.
Holy shit, man!
Wow.
Why? What happened?
Pat, if you're watching, it's because he's so Catholic that he wants more Catholic kids in the world.
Boom.
They're so insanely smart, it's disgusting. Okay, some of them speak 3 languages already, and they're like under 12. They all play a different instrument. They all help him because he does videos, religious videos. They all help him. One does like camera work, one does editing. It sickens me how intelligent they are. It truly does.
He sounds like he's putting them to good.
I like it. He sounds like he's got a little system there. I kind of like that.
He does. He's making them work hard for their money, so they better treat him right, I believe is the song. All right, we're getting to Eric's favorite topic and the last one of the night. It's Caitlyn Jenner. Let's see what Mr. Jenner, Mrs. I don't know. We're on Twitter. Okay. Caitlyn Jenner, the real name of the person, has this to say.
Caitlyn Jenner now joins us.
We'll see how much of this we can get through.
That opening?
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
That's the campaign?
Yeah. I'm moving on. Yeah, that was the scariest thing I've ever heard. Yeah.
Well, it's all true.
It is true. It absolutely is true. First of all, I got a gift.
Oh, thank you. What is it?
I know.
I love gifts.
We're into the face mask thing out here in California, so I thought I would get you one.
Hannity supports Caitlyn. He's not allowed to. He's on the news. Okay.
Recalled Gavin Newsom.
By the way, I support the recall.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
That's one thing Eric agrees with.
When you think about it.
We're going to count.
I just have such respect for athletes. You didn't win the gold in 72. You came back in 76, and you won the gold. A great Olympian, a great champion. And you really, I always say politics is a blood sport.
It is.
And a part of me say, what the hell are you thinking? This is hard.
It was not an easy decision. it took an awfully long time.
Took an awfully long
I've
time,
always been involved
Sean.
in politics. For the LGBT community, I used to go back. But in 1973, I graduated from college in Iowa. I packed up my 63 VW Bug and drove across the country, everything I owned in the back seat. And I was coming to California, the Golden State. I went to San Jose. Why? Because San Jose was where all the great athletes lived. I had met him in my first Olympics in 1972. And me as a decathlete, I wanted to learn from all these other great athletes. In fact, in 1976, we placed fifth as a nation with 3 gold medals, a silver and a bronze within a
What's this have to do with anything?
of my house. I put myself with some of these great athletes and I learned so much. I want to do the same thing now. I want to take that same fight, that same spirit, go to Sacramento, surround myself with some of the smartest people out there. I am an outsider. I understand that. Smartest people out there, because now I'm on a race for solutions. I need to find solutions to be able to turn this state around. I absolutely love this state. I'm a fighter, always have been. I come from a long line of fighters. My grandfather was in World War I, was in the dead pile. Somebody was walking by and heard a moan, and they said, "Oh my God, somebody's alive in here," and pulled him out, and he wound up going on and living a very good life.
Dead pile. I mean, they thought that he was dead.
Eric, we could talk about this as we watch. I hear you sighing in, I think, lust is what it is. How about one of the views of Caitlyn Jenner is, yeah, you see how we're on Twitter. That's where most of the viewers are. So there's this high-speed rail system that's supposed to go in from LA to San Francisco. Caitlyn Jenner wants to take those funds and put it towards water conservation because there's always droughts. Agree or disagree, Eric?
I'd have to look deeper into that. I don't know the specifics of that. My initial thought is to just fix the high-speed rail system because corruption basically ruined that, and the money sort of disappeared. I don't know all the details on that, but I don't think the right thing to do is to scrap that and then start on some water conservation stuff. I think they're doing it all wrong.
Let's check back in with Caitlyn.
Up again in Sacramento, but we have to change things. I love this country. I'm a patriot. I love this state. The state's done so much.
Patriot or patriarch? I missed that.
I
there.
heard patriarch.
Yeah, I think so too.
And you got to stand up, you know. And so I knew it would not be easy. I knew it'd be tough.
Don't start crying.
California's worth fighting for.
You can see the votes just getting clicked right now. Right about now.
I want to, in the course of the time we have here together,
Right.
I want to get specific.
Okay.
I'm very specific.
Here's the good part.
Let's start with a general overarching. I want you to grade Gavin Newsom.
Okay, no, it's
I
not
want
the
you
good
to
part.
define
So,
what
Eric, more of Caitlyn Jenner's views was no sanctuary state, pro-ICE, anti-illegal immigration, no transgenders in women's sports. I think that one should be obvious for Caitlyn Jenner as to why.
Why? I mean, she could go back and win a couple more golds. Why not? Makes perfect sense.
And also said that Caitlyn Jenner said that they don't care as much about pronouns as the rest of the community because Caitlyn Jenner's mom, whoever that is, still misgenders and calls her Bruce sometimes or whatever it may be. Eric, and then we'll get to you right after, Travis. Is there anything else in there? Is there anything that you disagree with out of that stuff?
No, that stuff all sounds good, right? Okay. My thing is...
You are in so much pain.
Because, look, okay, I get it. Okay, the reasons why I don't think this is going to work is because, A, no matter what happens, the tribal left in California, we all know they are a violent, deceitful, spiteful bunch. I mean, the left in California, all up and down the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, those are violent, spiteful people. They will never see eye to eye with anybody who doesn't toe the far left line, right? And Caitlyn Jenner here is obviously too conservative for them. But so you're not winning anybody from the left. But on top of that, I just don't trust the mental capacity of a 70-year-old man who at 60 years old decided, and with a family with kids, I mean, just decided I was always a woman. When you were winning those gold medals in 1976, did you know you were a woman then? So I'm just not sold that this mental capacity is going to be able to A, take California out of this slump that they're in, and B, I just feel like there's this Hollywood corruption, there's a Hollywood connection, and I just personally do not trust this person.
Okay, let's check back in with Caitlin, and then I got a question for you,
He
Travis.
was packing up his hangar. I said, where are you going? And he says, I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets to see the homeless. I don't want to leave. Okay, either I stay and fight, or I get out of here.
Let's describe, you can answer the specifics. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you independent? And I really want you to define this term, a compassionate disruptor. What is a compassionate disruptor?
I've kind of played around with that term. And
okay, they talk about the phrase that they're choosing for their campaign tagline. Travis, is this what California deserves? Do you think it's completely stupid? Do you think that Caitlyn Jenner's views are reasonable enough where Xi Jinping should be elected? What's your thoughts on this overall?
First, about 80% of California's water is used to feed the rest of the United States, not actually California consumption. So let's just be clear on that. So I don't know what you're conserving. You can't do anything with water as it is. From my knowledge, I mean, in the agriculture space, you're pretty handcuffed because everyone else is stealing your water before it even gets to your home. So that aside,
I think sorry to jump in. I think what the claim there was to pump those billions of dollars into something that can convert salt water into drinkable water.
Yeah, that's been proven really efficient too. That's been proven really efficient over the last 20 years. So that's a great use of proceeds.
Do I sense sarcasm there?
Yeah, well done there, Caitlin. So, you know what, man, that's a good question. I mean, Eric, you are there. Like, to me, from an outside looking in, like, is this a better solution than what is currently happening? But to me, this is not, like, when I saw this at first, I was absolutely not shocked by this. Shocked that the gold medalist Olympian decided 10 years ago that something had changed, but not shocked that this is happening.
I think we can give any opinion we want. We just can't say the original name is Twitter's. Remember when they were on Joe Rogan and they discussed this dead naming thing? So that's the only thing I think.
I just
is this a better option, Eric, than Gavin Newsom?
I mean, it is really tough to say. I was actually talking to my mom today about it, and she's not really politically active. She doesn't really know what's going on, but I mean, this is the definition of a rock in a hard place. And like I said, I just don't trust.
No jokes there. There's no jokes in that statement.
No, look. I just. Outside of the weird mental state that this person might be in, there's something about Hollywood. There's something about corruption. I mean, last time a governor got recalled in California, I mean, that's how long this corruption has been happening, right? They recalled a man named Gray Davis, I believe, in the late 90s or early 2000s, and he was, of course, replaced with the governor. And think about that. In 2002... Yeah, in 2002, I don't think. This is just a sort of a picture of how quickly these things have moved. In 2002, I honestly don't believe we would have been having this transgender conversation. Like, I was young, and I just don't think that was happening. And now we're at a point where we all look, no matter what happens, bro, we'll use the names, we'll use the pronouns, but no matter what happens, if you truly believe, and maybe Caitlyn doesn't truly believe this stuff, that's why she is not on board with the transgenders in sports and stuff. But that alone, to me, unfortunately, and this is probably a very unpopular opinion, is proof that this person is not playing with a full deck, bro. And that is going to catch up to you eventually. So is it better than Newsom? I mean, you know what? It probably is better than Newsom, but that's how awful California is doing right now. That's just a proof of how terrible. I mean, between New York and California, man, it is not
Also
looking
pro
good.
border wall, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Pro border wall. And it is weird how Sacramento being the capital, Gavin Newsom can go up for dinner, and then Nancy Pelosi can go get her hair done, and then Caitlyn Jenner was like, I can't get my hair done in my local hairstylist.
You're getting banned.
can't-
Everyone knows I do impressions, Eric. All right, I'm a very serious guy.
You can't operate those fields in California if there is a wall there. Everyone, you don't get produce on trucks. You don't get shit done if there is a wall there. That is the backbone of agriculture, whether you like it or not, or whether people want to talk about it or not. It is illegal workers, night and day, sitting on the back of tractors doing things that, frankly, no Canadian and no American would probably ever sign up for.
Yeah, but the problem there is they've let it get so far. To disagree with you here is that if you didn't have illegal immigrants driving the wages up, then you'd be able to pay, or driving wages down, you'd be able to pay people a reasonable amount, whereas Billy's first job might be toiling away somewhere for, I don't know what it's like in a good wages in America for a first job, Eric, but if they're getting paid like $17 an hour Canadian dollars for that sort of job instead of like 11, the minimum wage, then maybe, and I'm thinking more people would do that. My problem with the whole thing is, especially up here where they're just like, we must have 350,000 immigrants every year. We must have this much. Who's going to do the jobs if we don't? Who's going to expand our population? We've just never tried. And doing what we're doing right now and doing what the U.S. is doing right now isn't working. But I take your point as to have a drastic shift like that, it probably isn't going to work, is it?
Well,
I mean, it's
no, go ahead.
I agree. I think there's definitely some truth there, Andrew. I would say that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, that's a fact. And we, Canada's, no different. I mean, it happens here too, but you've gone on so long. I would ask either one of you, how many 15 to 19-year-olds do you know that would go out and do any type of job like that? It is so far from our reality right now that I think you've gone so far down the path. To reel it back in is good. It will take decades to get people of that thought process to go back and say, oh yeah, I want to jump on the back of a tractor, grab a shovel, and get my hands dirty.
Totally.
That's an interesting point. All right, last words to you, Eric. Go ahead.
Well, I do think that we are looking at, and I've said this about New York, and the same is true for California. I do think in a little bit of a different way, we are looking at a decade-long cleanup from these lockdowns and this communistic, socialistic push that they're trying to get through. Because I mean, obviously now you're seeing stories about how restaurants can't get workers because the government's paying them more, this, that, and the other. But I think the worst thing here, the bottom line, speaking of having your cake and eating it too, is that this is not going to work for anybody. Like I said, on the left, they are not going to go for Caitlyn Jenner just because she's transgender, because she does hold some conservative viewpoints. And on the right, they may vote for her on policy, but there's still that distrust, I guess, that I don't think is going to work for anybody. And with that split, I think Newsom probably stays in office. Now, there's this other Republican guy who's running around touring with a bear or something. I forget his name. Literally kicked off his campaign with a live bear. But I guess the bottom line is, I think this Caitlyn Jenner situation is basically the perfect, like, trying to have your cake and eat it too, trying to please everybody. Like, you're doing the LGBTQ, socially liberal thing, fiscally conservative, and you're trying to please everybody, and I just don't see it working out. That's just me.
All right. Well, a lot of crazy topics from fake news to transgenderism to city councilors today. Report and Opine, go grab his book. Go follow him on Instagram. Travis Canellis on Instagram. You got anything you want to plug, Travis, before we go? Any final thoughts?
Nah, fine. This was fun, man. This was good. Thanks for having me on. No, it's good, man. We're growing lettuce for millions of people, and that's cool shit. So I would say that's all I got, man. That's all I got for you.
Also, I requested
All
you on Instagram. You should whatever apply.
Well, that's cute, Eric. Would you like his
That
phone
is
number?
cute, Eric. I like that, Eric. Thank you.
because I was gonna.
Would you like feet photos as well, Eric?
Calm down. Oh, because I was gonna tag you in the post of we're going live, and then I realized I couldn't do it because you're whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason for that. But
No, I
It
got
takes
you.
a lot.
It's all good,
Takes a
man.
lot of courage, to ask a guy out on air like that, Eric. So I applaud you.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Thousands of people a week watching. It's a lot of fun. It's sweet. Thanks for watching, everybody on Twitter, where hopefully we don't get banned off because that's where most of you guys are watching from. All right, for myself, Travis, and Eric. See you guys later.